everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today to run through our demonstration of Fairer Warmth and how it can help local authorities and communities work together to deliver the Warm Homes Local Fund and similar programs. So yeah, I'm Andy Ross from Centre for Energy Equality. Centre for Energy Equality is a social enterprise focused on trying to make the energy transition fairer and more accessible for everyone rather than just a lucky few. And yeah, we work with organisations of all types and size in the UK and internationally in pursuit of that mission. So one of our key innovations is the Fairer Warmth platform, which is a system designed to connect individuals and those in need of support with local and regional organisations when delivering scalable energy advice, efficiency and retrofit programmes. And today we'll be focusing on how Fairer Warmth can help local authorities and regional support partners effectively deliver the Warm Homes Local Grant, as well as other publicly funded initiatives aiming to improve energy efficiency and tackle fuel poverty in a way that is effective and also shows understanding and empathy to those most in need of that support. We've already seen significant regional uptake of Fairer Warmth, which has been funded by DESNZ through the Local Energy Advice Demonstrator Programme, as well as some other further funding from Network Innovation Funds. In a moment, I'll hand over to Kat, John and Evie, who will take you through the live demonstration of the platform, both from a household user's perspective and the administrative and data side of things that sit behind the platform that can help plan and deliver your programs. So hopefully you'll see how it can streamline outreach, manage referrals and monitor impact of your programs in real time. And we'll also have time for questions at the end. So if it's okay to use the Q&A and chat function in Teams, we'll respond to as many as we can at the end of the presentation. If we can't respond to all the questions, we'll reply separately when we circulate the video recording. Really pleased to set up follow-up calls with anybody here as needed. I guess without further ado, I'll hand over to Kat to get started. Kat.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for joining us, everybody. My name's Kat. I'm Partnerships Manager at CEE. So I'm going to talk a little bit first about the Warm Homes Local Grant pathways to eligibility, and then I'll take you through a demonstration of our Fairer Warmth application. Warm Homes Local Grant has just been released, as you all know, which we're really thrilled to have, and also the Warm Homes Social Housing Fund as well for local authorities to help social housing properties be decarbonised. We're really pleased that this fund has been released because it means that more people can have access to low carbon technologies and to installative measures as well. And the government have done a really good job of being able to make this more accessible to more people. What they have also done is made these pathways quite complex, and so we're kind of here on a bit of a mission to kind of help people access these pathways and make them a little bit simpler. So we've done that through making Fairer Warmth help people sort of navigate those eligibility pathways. So some of the basic eligibility criteria for warm homes is that it's any domestic property type, any fuel type, which is really good. They can be on or off gas this time. You have to own or privately rent your property, and shared ownership can also apply as well, as can some social housing properties as well, but the social housing scheme has to apply in partnership. And this time park homes can apply as well, which before they haven't been able to, which is also really good. It is only eligible for homes that are EPC D or below, and if homes have previously been treated under HUG or another local authority delivery scheme, there are some caveats to them applying, but they can still apply, which is really good also. And this includes other DESNZ schemes like ECO. They can also still apply with some caveats as well. The grants this time there's two pots pots of grants, two £15,000 pots of grants, some for delivering energy performance measures and some for delivering low carbon heat measures. So they're all your installative measures, your heating controls, and then your low carbon measures include things like your air source, your ground source, and things like biomass. So there's loads of information in the Warm Homes guidelines, and we put links in at the end that you can go and have a look at the further details. Now at Fairer Warmth, we've identified 4 pathways. They say there's 3, but within pathway 2, we think there's actually sort of a 2A and 2B. So we've kind of pulled those apart a little bit. The first pathway is really nice and simple. If you're sat within one of the 252,000 postcodes that sit within what we call IMD, so one of the indices of multiple deprivation, you automatically qualify. So good for you, or not good for you as it may well be, because you're in one of these really deprived areas and you're more at risk of experiencing fuel poverty. So if your postcode's in one of those areas, you automatically qualify or as being eligible for this grant. So you can really easily check, or you can come through the Fairer Warmth app and we'll tell you if you're eligible. Brilliant, nice, easy, quick win. They're the kind of the low-hanging fruit, as it were. So that's pathway 1, nice and simple. Pathway 2A, as we're calling it, you are on a means tested benefit. Again, really easy to meet this criteria. So if you're on one of those means tested benefits there, you're likely to be eligible for this Warm Homes local grant. Again, nice and easy to see that criteria, and we can easily find out who is eligible for this grant through those criteria there. Pathway 2B, little bit more tricky. So this is the EcoFlex Route 2. So this has previously been used, and these are whether you meet 2 of those proxies in that list, and some of those proxies aren't eligible with each other. So it's a little bit more complicated. And again, coming through the Fairer Warmth app, where we've used some sign-up criteria to work out who it is and isn't eligible. And then pathway 3 is even more complicated again, and this is why we sort of want to use some of the sign up information that people use to come onto Fairer Warmth to work out who is and isn't eligible for Warm Homes local grants. So either gross, so pre-tax household income of £36,000 or less, so that seems quite easy to go by, or after housing costs income equivalisation. Now that sounds really complicated, but basically there's a table, and after your tax, depending on how many people live in your household, you take your after tax income, and then depending on how many people live in your household, by the time you've paid your rent or mortgage, what you're left with, and you compare it to this table that they've provided. So a little bit more complicated, but you can work it out. And in Fairer Warmth, when you come to us and you sign up and you go through as a householder, we've given some worked examples so you can work it out for yourself, or you can work with an energy advisor to work it out. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's doable, and we've given some worked examples so you can see how to do that. Okay, so they're the sort of basic criteria, or not so basic criteria. I'm now going to show you how that works in Fairer Warmth. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just go over to the Fairer Warmth application. And the Fairer Warmth application is a web-based application at the moment, but our team of in-house developers are currently working on making that both an Android and an iOS application, and that's coming very, very soon, which we're really excited about. And it looks something like this at the moment. And this is the home page, the landing page. This is in demo mode, but for our local partners who work with us, this is has some localized branding on it. So when we're working, for example, with Rossendale Valley Energy, who are one of our tried and tested and trusted partners, this has their branding on it. So when people sign up using their personal information and their criteria, such as household income, whether they're not in receipt of benefits, and we also pull EPC information from the database, it will provide us with their the first thing they'll see is their energy support options. So I've put in my criteria here, my information, and I can see straight away on this top carousel here that I am eligible for the Warm Homes Local Grant under Pathway 1. It also tells me on this very first carousel any other local and national support options that I might be eligible for, which is really handy. So we see all of these grants and things on this first top carousel. The second carousel tells me all about really simple tips and tricks that I might be able to do for myself, such as carbon monoxide risk, things like time of use tariffs, energy efficient lighting, and other simple things that I can do to improve my home myself. And then the very bottom, the third carousel, is the slightly more complicated bits that I might want to think about for my home or might want to undertake as part of the Warm Homes Local Grant, such as TRVs, solar panels, right through to your ground source and your air source heat pumps. So there's lots of information within each of these cards that I can look at. What I can also do as part of these different cards that are presented to me is I can click on the little heart, and that adds it to an energy action plan for me, so I can come back to those pieces of information later, or I can go into those pieces of information by clicking on the Learn More button, and then that opens up that information to me, and I can read the information that's available to me, or again add it to my plan and then go into my action plan, and that's all stored there for me. And this is a really nice way of keeping all of those resources in one place. And our householders really like this, that they can come back to this action plan because it's in their account and they can see what they've stored. We also rate these things from easy through to professional, how easy it is for householders to do this for themselves. And they can also say whether they've completed this action or they're in process of doing this action. And they can see how much they will be saving every year by completing these actions and what their carbon saving is in trees. Now, when our householders are working with energy advisors or energy champions, they can often do these actions with those people as well. So if they're not very digitally able or they're more vulnerable customers, they often do these with energy champions in their homes as well. So this is what the householder sees. If they go into My Property, which is this tab here, this tool also acts as a communications device. So if we're thinking from a local authority perspective where you might be delivering the Warm Homes Local Grant, one of the things that you might need a householder or a customer to do is to upload documents. So for example, say you needed to see a document that gives evidence for a particular benefit or health condition. You might say to Mrs. Jones, I need to see some evidence of a prescription that says that you have a particular health condition, or I might need to see evidence of a benefit. They can go into the My Property section and they can click Add Document, and they can select a file from their phone or from their computer, and they can upload that file securely to the system here. So it acts as a communications system between yourself and the end user, the customer. And you can keep all of those documents very securely on this system so that you can check their eligibility against the criteria for the particular grant. You can also communicate with the householder using Add Notes here as well, and they can communicate with you if they need something from you as the local authority or as the energy champion. So that's the consumer part of the application. We also have the Champions Hub, which I'll just enable here. And this is where energy advisors, or we call them energy champions, can see which households they're working with. And again, they can see if they've created any tasks, such as they could go into one of the households here. So these are all my addresses, by the way. I'm not sharing any details that shouldn't be here. And I could create a task here for a particular household. So say, for example, tomorrow I was to visit this household and I needed to remind myself that I needed to do something, such as I could add a new task here to say that I needed to book an EPC for this house. This would remind me to do this. Excuse the dog in the background. So you can add tasks in here. You can also add public notes and communicate with the household here. And you can also see which documents that you've added for this particular household as well. So this is where you can communicate with your households. If anybody wants a cockapoo, he is free to a good home. The other nice thing about the Champions Hub is where you have got households that are somewhat digitally excluded or a little bit more vulnerable. This is where we work with those households, and we can actually onboard new households as well. So maybe where you're working with people who need a little bit of extra support and might struggle to onboard themselves or sign up themselves, you can do that with the household here by clicking onboard household and adding the postcode of the property and finding the property with the householder themselves. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. So that's the champions section, or the energy advisors section. And then the very back end part of Fairer Warmth is the administrators section. And this is where we monitor all of the KPIs and the metrics, and we can see all the really juicy data, as I call it. So this is where we can see how many users we've got, where our properties are, how many households have onboarded. We can also manage all of our champions. We can see where all our property data is. We can also do all of our compliance checks. And there's also some really helpful tools in this part of the administrative system as well. So we can create campaigns, for example. So if we know that there are particular areas that we want to target our Warm Homes Local Grant, we can create campaigns in here. And we can create QR codes and then use these campaigns to target certain areas. And John will demonstrate in the data platform how we can do targeted area campaigns. We can also create notifications as well for emailing, for example. So we've got a Warm Homes reminder here, for example, we created earlier. And we've got lots of email addresses here, and we can use some filtering. So when we go in and look at all of the people who have registered, so these are all, for example, a list of people who have registered with us under our all of our customers. For example, if we only wanted to talk to people for a certain campaign that had EPC-D or below, because they're the people who we're targeting for Warm Homes Local Grant, we could filter. So we can use our filtering to make sure that we're only talking to people who had EPC-D or below, and then send notifications or emails just to those people. So that's really helpful. And one of the features of one of the tools and features that I really like is surveys. So we can work out or talk to or create surveys about customers' feedback, or one of the surveys I've created here is about customer knowledge and attitudes towards renewable technology, which is something I'm really interested in. So I've created a survey here to work out or find out about what people feel about renewable technology. So you can use those surveys within Fairer Warmth and send them to all of your users to find out actually what sort of technologies, for example, they like or what they feel about technology. So it's a really good tool to have. You can also see what energy saving actions people have added to their support, and find out whether they're doing those actions. So there's lots of tools in the admin section here, and but the KPI monitoring is really important as well when you're delivering things like grants and projects. So that's a little bit of an oversight, an overview, sorry, of Fairer Warmth. And I'll hand over to John now, who's going to give a demonstration of our data platform, which shows how we can use multi-level layers of data to deliver these large-scale projects. So I'll hand over to John.
Hi everyone, I'm John McHugh, one of the directors at Centre for Energy Equality. And I'll just give you a very quick intro into the data platform. I'll just share my screen. So the Fairer Warmth application that Kat's just showed you is very much about one-to-one engagement with customers, allowing them to access lots of useful information on a smaller scale, on the individual home scale. And then aside from that, we've got this Fairer Warmth data platform, which is very much on the high level view. So looking at sort of cities, county level information to try and understand the properties in your area, what their building makeup is, and then specifically today, we can cut the data to have a look at which properties are more or less likely to be eligible for the Warm Homes grant scheme. So that's what we've created in our platform. So this is Frome, one of our customers. Not sure if I saw anyone online from Frome, but hi if you are, and thank you. And yeah, so we've put on this a scenario that kind of tries to understand people's eligibility for Warm Homes. As Kat was saying, there's lots of different criteria here. So we've got the postcodes of the indices of deprivation. We've got tenancy, so private landlords, homeowners, that sort of thing. And then we've got means-based testing, so for the income levels and eligibility for the benefit schemes. So that's all being kind of assessed within here. So I don't know if you see in any level of detail, but there's all the properties are marked on the map here in Frome, and they've all got a color scheme associated with them. So we've got things down at 0, which we are very clear wouldn't be eligible for Warm Homes, and then up to 100, which are very likely. So the ones that are 100 are kind of in these postcodes that are in the postcodes for the indices of multiple deprivation, and also have an EPC of D and below. So we can very clearly understand those because the EPC data, although it might not contain very accurate data, it does show which properties have which EPC rating, and the postcode is a fixed thing, so we've got very good confidence in that. And then moving towards the less confidence, we have EPC properties, low EPCs in areas where the census data shows lower income levels. So we've got the census data, we've got the EPC data, we've got council tax information, and that sort of thing that we can all use to try and estimate these factors for Warm Homes. So we can view things on a map, we can see concentrations, we can do filtering. So if for some reason we just wanted to target terrace streets, we could also just filter those out to see that information. And then the other thing we've got is, there's lots of different factors in here that we can look at. So tenure, down to the building types, wall types, floor types. And then we can also view the sort of graph data on this. So there's all the information on building makeup and EPC data, but then we can look at the sort of at a citywide level. We can look at the distribution of what we think people are eligible for. So yeah, 100%. There's only 1.1% people that were 100% confident would be eligible over that whole region, and then sort of 75% likely there's 15% of the population, and yeah, basically we can look at this at a very high level to help target the overall scheme's functionality, and then also look at the map to target different areas. And it might be that you can make your engagement more efficient in different areas. Yes, and so that's the data platform in a nutshell. Lots of other functionality, but I'll save that for another time. So thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. So thanks thanks very much, everyone, for listening. And I've seen we've got 1 or 2 questions in the chat, and I think over to Evie to coordinate questions. Yeah, we didn't have any final comments, did we there, Kat? I think we're okay to go over to questions.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Evie, and we're just going to be reading out some of the questions like a game show host. So I think we had a couple of questions about the data platform. So particularly, Adrian asked how do you identify EPC data?
I can take that one. So for England and Wales, we use the Open EPC Data API, and then we map that to the properties. So yeah, we use the government's open data. For Scotland, we do something slightly different, but pulling from government data, basically.
And is it worth mentioning where there are gaps in EPC data, John?
Yes. So we do have predictors that fill in the gaps in the EPC data. These have about 70% accuracy, depending on where you are. And we take, as part of that warm homes eligibility factor, we've taken that into account. So if things are definitely have an EPC, then you get 100%. And then if they're predicted, we kind of take that accuracy into account. So at the sort of city level, you've got a good statistical representation of the information.
Also, the next question was, are we able to export this into address lists? So I think that was to do with the data platform as well.
Yeah, so the data platform uses Ordnance Survey data. So to be able to use that tool, you will need an OS license. So as local authorities, you already have that, so that's great. We can use that. And then with that, you can export the data, but there are some caveats like export licensing and that sort of thing. So you'd have to be in line with the OS data licensing. But yeah, you can export.
And the next question was, where is all the data being pulled from for each household? So household income and benefits, etc.
So for the data platform, that we don't have the individual household income or benefits data. We use the census data around income levels, around education levels, that sort of thing, as a factor to provide a statistical sort of proxy for household income benefits, which is taken into account in the sort of percentage that the factor shows you. In Fairer Warmth, the application that Kat showed, we asked those questions of the individual users. So with that platform, we know, and we've had those conversations, so that data comes out of that.
Cool. So relating to what Andy mentioned before about the being gaps in the EPC data, do you look at in order to fill those gaps, do we look at the neighbouring properties to fill in the gaps?
Yes, yeah, that's part of it. So we look at neighbouring properties, we look at the types of properties, we look at the regions, the rurality, are they in the urban area? Then we look for similar properties that may not be next door as well. So yeah, there's lots of different. We've tried for a number of iterations to get that as accurate as possible. So yeah, that's part of it.
And what's the most effective way to contact the individual householder?
Yeah, I can have a go answering that one and maybe hand over to Kat. So we've got quite experience working in the 30 or so communities that are utilising Fairer Warmth at the moment. There's been, we've got quite a lot of evidence as to the best ways or the most effective ways to engage people, although that will vary locally. So one of the most effective ways we've found engaging people with grant schemes and energy advice is by collaborating closely with local health organisations such as local doctor surgeries to send out text messages, for example, to say to the people who are likely to qualify for Warm Homes Local grants, did you realise you can do this? It can help. It can help both from a health and warmth perspective. Has been a really effective way of engaging. Working closely in partnerships with local trusted organisations such as the community energy sector and local advice organisations as local champions has been really effective, where there aren't local authority-led schemes, which are also really effective. Something that doesn't work so well is just having it as a digital solution, and whilst there is some good level of some level of response through leafleting and flyering and saying download the app. Far more effective is working with local organisations and partners to deliver that one-to-one support. So yeah, working in close partnerships, I would say, is really effective. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Kat.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So from experience of delivering these types of projects, I would say that it's having sort of very much a holistic wraparound service. So definitely targeted campaigns in health absolutely works, and it's having the backing. So having the backing of the local authority, having a community focus, so absolutely using community energy groups and utilising their skills and knowledge, and having a local community partnership is really helpful, because you will find that communities trust other people in the communities more so than they trust a local authority. But having the branding and the backing of the local authority makes it even more trusted. So it's having that kind of that collaborative relationship, and then already having the supply chain built in also helps, so that when you are delivering the kind of the technical aspects, such as the installing of the measures, having the supply chain already sort of done, doing the due diligence checks on the supply chain. So having those engineers and installers already in place is also really helpful, because it's one less step for individuals to have to do for themselves. So already having those kind of installers ready to go and saying that these are the partners that we recommend or trust is also really helpful for homeowners, because it's one of the barriers to adopting sort of low carbon technologies and installative measures, and that they sort of struggle with is knowing who to trust in installers. So kind of having that kind of holistic wraparound service is really helpful. So yeah, if when delivering these types of grants you can do all of those things, you're kind of ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, good example is the work in Lancashire that we're doing with Cozy Homes and Stacey on the call, and Rosendale Valley Energy, working in partnership with the county council and also the local districts and unitaries is working really well.
Great. So the next question was, how do local authorities procure this platform? So maybe that's good for Andy and Kat as well.
So quite simple. So yeah, we've been funded to develop our development to date has been through DESNZ and through the local energy advice demonstrators and other innovation funds. But yeah, we're now ready to go and scale. So we have basically we have a pricing list which we can circulate, but we've tried to make it as cost effective as we can, and depending on the size of authority and depending on which bits of the platform that you need. And I maybe hand over to Kat to talk about the specific pricing, if that's okay, Kat.
Yeah, absolutely. So we price based on whether you are working as a parish or a unitary, a district or a combined authority, and whether you want to just have the Fair Warmth platform as a communication tool or whether you want to have the data platform as a bolt-on. So if it is something that you're thinking actually that's really interesting, we want to potentially procure that, you can just drop us an email at contact@cee-uk.com and we'll put that in the last slide, and we can send you out a quotation, and then you can have a think about whether that's something you want to implement in your local authority. And yes, we can circulate the slides afterwards so you can see all the information with our pricing as well. So that's absolutely fine. Any more questions?
I think not. I'll just double check the Q&A function. No, I mean, if there's no more questions, just to say thanks so much for joining us, and I hope this was a useful session. And if you do think of any other questions or would like to arrange a deeper dive or a one-to-one session, or if you're hopefully interested in working with Fairer Warmth, please do email us, Kat or myself or a member of the team, and we'll get back to you straight away, and contact details will be on the slides that we circulate. So yeah, thanks again. Was that one more question come through? Oh no, just people saying thank you. So thank you. Yeah, we really look forward to working with you soon.
Thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.